I study agriculture, have grown a few things myself, and have to tell you, it's boring. But what's the single most boring thing about it for me is the soil. I remember when I was taking a mandatory soil science course, it was catastrophic. I either didn't attend or slept through the lecture, sometimes because I was tired, but sometimes on purpose. And the monotonous blabbering of my professors, coupled with the sheer uninterestingness of soil horizons and what rock does this specific soil come from? No, thank you. The problem is that soil is a pretty darn important thing in agriculture, unless you are into hydroponics and stuff, but one can't really be surprised that people aren't exactly flocking into an industry that's based on such a bland thing that soil is. It makes sense that people would rather have a nice and cozy job in a nice and cozy office than be posted on a field no matter the weather and have to get their hands dirty. But at the same time, for me, it's kinda fulfilling. Since I sit behind a desk all the time, either studying or cutting videos, being able to get my hands dirty on a field every once in a while is actually a blessing, and I feel somehow reconnected with nature. It's a feeling that I did some real tangible work, and to add to that, I actually get to eat the fruits of my labor. Although I tried eating the fruits of my bachelor's thesis experiment, which were radishes, and let me tell you, I wasn't that glad that I got to eat them. Somehow didn't work out, but never mind. What was also funny is that I've done some digging around if it's just me that finds soils boring, but no, I'm not alone. There are many articles on the internet, even from soil scientists, that agree with me. In one of these, I found out that the whole soil sciences community is aware of this problem, and there are two strategic approaches in turning the general public's opinion. First, and I'm sure you've heard this one, is the narrative that soils are under a threat and that we are losing X amount of acres every year and that is detrimental to our food production. But even the author of the article says that he doesn't find this as such a clever idea because it forces humans to learn about something they still don't want to learn about, but now they have to preserve the soil. However, the second approach is slightly more successful in that it tries luring the people in by showcasing all the beautiful organisms that live in the soil. This makes sense because most people generally find animals way more interesting than plants and there is no comparison with rocks. But still, underground critters aren't all that amusing, as I'm sure you can imagine. So maybe we just have to force ourselves, or at least some of us, to study soils so that we are able to continue producing enough food for humanity, even though it's incredibly boring. I would like to hear your opinion on this hot take, and thanks for watching.